Um, you have to live the dream, or you don't. You can either give up, and buy another can of Coke and another iPhone, and ignore the suffering that you see all around you and you see all over the world. Just ignore it. Just pretend it's not there. Pretend the Yemen doesn't exist. Pretend that all those tiny children starving to death, not just tiny children, starving to death is okay. It's just the way the world is. You might find it easier to believe that if you believe in God and that there's somebody looking after us, so we don't have to think about this stuff. Well, the dream is that it's not about God, it's about us, and it's about our capacity for empathy. All right. So you can cling to that. Will we ever persuade the warmongers that the path that they have taken is substantially the wrong one? I don't know. Smirconish the other night was talking about reading. Oh, I read and I read and I read. Well, reading is very important. I'm going to tell this story once more because I sense that it's germane, not Smirconish, but a story I told on his program, which is when I was 13 years old, and I was struggling with some idea or some question that I come out with. My mother noticed my discomfort and she said, "What is it?" And I told her, and she said, "Darling, all your life you're going to come up with difficult questions. And my advice to you is this: look into whatever the question is as deeply as you can. Read everything that you can about it. Try, if you can, if you have a dog in the race, to look at it from all sides. Look at it from an opposition side as well as your own side. But read, above all, everything. When you've done that, you've done all the heavy lifting. Your work is largely over." And I went, "Yeah, but what do I do then, Mum?" And she said, "Oh, that's easy, darling. Then you do the right thing." And I thought, fuck me. I still do. I still think getting that advice from a parent when you're 13 or 12 or any age, really, it's almost the best thing that an adult could tell an adolescent or a child. But because it begs the question, well, what is the right thing? It doesn't beg it, it demands the question. Well, how do you know what the right? Well, what's the answer to that question? You have to look into your heart. You have to find out whether, if somebody falls down in the street, whether it makes you feel better to go and say, "Are you all right?" and help them to their feet, and put their groceries back in their brown paper bag or whatever, and say, "Are you all right? Do you need to sit down?" and look after them because you're a human being and they're a human, or whether it feels better to just go, "Oh, fuck them," they should have been looking where they were going, or anything. Or why should I care about them? Well, if you don't get why, if you don't understand that it makes you feel better to help them. I mean, I feel even the simple fact of saying it makes you feel better to help people and communicate with them makes hairs stand up on my arm, because it's so obvious. And yet people on the other side of the argument would say, "You're wrong. Human beings are actually bad. It makes you feel happier when you've just stabbed somebody through the fucking heart with a bayonet. That's what makes you feel good. And you can take their jewels and run off with them, or their pears, or their bananas, or their oil, or their lithium." No, I don't. No, you'll never convince me. It doesn't make you feel better. It makes you feel a lot worse.